My name is Sheila Young. I'm a county councillor and I sit on the Adult Social Care Committee, and I've been appointed the champion for the elderly. I also chair the West Norfolk Older Persons Forum, and I chair also the West Norfolk Patient Partnership, which takes in all the West Norfolk GP surgeries and all the concerns that may arise from that. I suppose partly because I am ageing, but it's very noticeable that when people are living longer, they are going to produce more complex conditions, and they will need more complex care, which can be a vast expense on the NHS. Not that it's begrudged, but it does take up an awful lot of time and effort, whereas if it were addressed earlier, then it wouldn't be so difficult to manage. And I think that the older people also need to feel respected and valued. My experience as a carer started a long time before I was actually identified as a carer. But the moment I was identified, so much was offered to me that I didn't any longer feel isolated. Although I still continued caring in the same old way, I knew that there was support there. And in fact, having been identified as a carer, I had visits from people who put up grab rails in the house and outside the garage. We even were organised for a stair lift. Things like this come when you've been identified as a carer. And although I still do the lot myself, I know that if I am in a crisis, I just have to call West Norfolk Carers and something will be provided. So it makes you feel that you're not entirely alone, and that I think is so important, to know that you can call on somebody. Well, this is really, in doing that, we are avoiding 999 calls and hospitalisation, which could be avoided if there was just a little bit of recognition of somebody becoming frail and liable to fall, or getting into a state about something that they can't reach or manage. If this is picked up by either a relative, a carer, a GP, or anybody who notices this kind of thing, things can be put in place very simply, very early, like grab rails in the house or raising a step outside, something like that. That will avoid a fall, therefore it will avoid a hospitalisation, possibly surgery, and it will help that person to remain at home in a good frame of mind, rather than having the shock of the consequences of a bad fall. It matters very much to know that you're safe in your home, to know that you can be warm and that you can be fed, and that there is somebody, even if it's at the end of a telephone, who you can talk to. And if possible, if one lives alone, then contact with the outside world is important, and I feel that we should try to avoid isolation and loneliness. I would like to see, really, we have got some very good services in the county. I would like to see that the providers of those services work better together and closer, and communicate better, so that the person at home can know that if they have a fall, They know that there's an organisation called the Swifts. If they're not hurt, they can telephone those people. They will go round and pick them up, make them more comfortable, maybe make them a cup of tea, maybe arrange to go back the next day and do a little bit of shopping, but to avoid hospitalisation. And of course, they will also, if they feel that there's a need, they can then call medical help. But the first thing is to avoid hospitalisation. I really believe that if these organisations worked more closely together, they would give a better service. Older people and frail people would feel more comfortable living at home and knowing where they can go for help. And of course, it would be nice to see that the NHS and social services were better funded, because this is absolutely vital if we're going to do better for the older and frail.